Hey guys, today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while now since I've been replaying Twilight Princess. Why I think Ocarina of Time is better than Twilight Princess. Now, before I say anything, I do like Twilight Princess. I really do. It's stylish, it's dark, and it has some moments that genuinely blew me away. But honestly, every time I go back and play both games, Ocarina just kind of hits different. There's something timeless about it that Twilight Princess just can't quite match up to. So, in this video, I'm going to explain why Ocarina of Time still stands out to me personally as the better game. Let's start with some quick context. Ocarina of Time came out in 1998, and even though I wasn't born yet, I still first played Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, so I do know how it originally felt, in case somebody tries to come at me like, oh, you only played it on an emulator. No, I've played it on the actual system. I was just a kid when I played it, and it blew my mind. It was magical. That moment where you first wake up as Link and leave the treehouse is amazing. I remember just falling in love with the music for Kokiri Forest. Ocarina of Time introduced stuff we now take for granted though, like the Z targeting, the sensitive buttons, cinematic camera angles, and it was doing all of this before most games even figured out how to move the camera properly. Twilight Princess, however, came out in 2006. By then, the bar had already been raised. 3D action games were everywhere, and Twilight Princess had to live in that world. It did improve a lot of things, sure, graphics and mechanics, but it didn't redefine anything. It followed in the footsteps Ocarina had already made. So, in my opinion, Ocarina didn't just succeed as a game, it changed games. Now let's talk about the world. The world! Oh, that's lame, sorry. Because this is a big one for me. I know Twilight Princess has a bigger map. Technically, it is more impressive, but when I play it, it kind of feels a little bit empty. Like, there is a lot of space, but not much to explore, if that makes sense. Some areas feel more like long hallways with cool views than actual places I want to explore. Ocarina of Time, though, even though the map is smaller, every area feels more meaningful. You go into the Lost Woods, and you want to get lost. Well, not really, because little kid me was screaming, but nowadays, you know, everybody knows how to get through those. It's way easier. Anyway, Gerudo Valley's music alone made me just sit there on the bridge. I still do it when I play it. That's probably my favorite soundtrack in the game, by the way, Gerudo Valley. The guitar, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a big music guy. Anyway, I remember the first time I saw Zora's Domain too. The way the music and atmosphere hit me, I just kind of stared at the waterfall and was like, this is pretty cool. Yeah, Zora's Domain and Gerudo Valley are both really cool areas. Probably the best areas in the game. It's weird. Ocarina does feel bigger, even though it's smaller. That's probably because of how tightly it's designed, if that makes sense. Every zone matters. You remember everything. Not because the game makes you, but because it's just that memorable. Here's something else I love about Ocarina, though. The pacing. The game starts out a little bit innocent and lighthearted. You're just a kid in the forest, solving little puzzles, talking to these weird NPCs. Of course, that's the whole game, because every NPC in Zelda is kind of weird, especially Tingle. But then, you know, you get the Master Sword later on, and boom, everything turns way darker. You're an adult now, the world's changed, and you can see it. Hyrule Castle is destroyed, the market is full of zombies. That moment hits you so hard. Before anybody's like, they're not zombies. I know, okay, alright, but I call them zombies still to this day. I mean, look at them, they're like, oh, like, dude, they're creepy. For me, though, that shift from child to adult was like a gut punch. Like, I feel like I was kind of growing up with Link, which is weird because, in a way, I have. Like, not to sound corny, but, you know, I was a kid when I first played that game. I'm an adult now, so I really like playing the adult parts now that I'm older because I'm like, oh, hey, look at that, we grew up together. Anyway, yeah, it made the game feel a little more personal. Twilight Princess has its own take on this, with the Twilight Realm and Wolf Link. And sure, that's a cool idea, but honestly, I found the beginning of the game kind of slow. The whole carry this thing across the map or find the bug stuff felt more like chores than adventure. Don't get me wrong, I get what they were going for, but Ocarina feels like it's always moving forward. You're always doing something exciting. I never felt like the game was wasting my time. Now let's talk dungeons, because this is where Zelda shines, of course. In my opinion, Ocarina of Time has some of the best dungeon design in the entire series. The Forest Temple, creepy and mysterious. The Fire Temple, big, bold, full of lava. The Shadow Temple, pretty scary. Even the Water Temple, which, you know, is really troubling. I don't hate it like a lot of people do. I actually think it's a really good dungeon, or temple, whatever you want to call it. In fact, the last time I played the Water Temple in Ocarina, I think it was last year, or a year before, because my stepbrother hadn't played it, and I kind of was, you know, the older brother, like, oh, hey, I know how to do everything. Then we get to the Water Temple, and I kid you not, we almost solved the whole thing without looking a single thing up. And then we got stuck and had to look something up, and guess what we were stuck at? There was a crack in the wall that you had to blow up with a bomb. And I know that sounds like something simple, but like, you're not thinking about, you know, because when you first start out, for example, in Zelda, the first few dungeons, yeah, you do simple shit like blow up stuff with a bomb. When you're getting into the complex stuff like Water Temple, you don't think about a crack in the wall. Who would have thought that? I don't know. It made me mad. Anyway, each dungeon has its own feel, and the items you get, like the hook shot, the bow, the megaton hammer, they all feel awesome to use. And most importantly, you keep using them later. They don't get tossed aside after one dungeon. Twilight Princess does have some amazing dungeons too, though. Like, the Snow Peak Ruins was genius, you know? A dungeon disguised as a house with soup and everything. I loved it. But the game also gives you tools like the spinner and the Dominion Rod, which are super fun, in one place. And then you kind of forget they exist. That's something I noticed that Ocarina does, though. It respects your time and your tools more. Everything has a purpose, and that purpose sticks with you. Now let's talk characters, because this one's close to my heart. The characters in Ocarina are simple, sure, but they do stick with you. Like Saria, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I know everybody says it different. Your forest friend. Darunia, the dancing Goron king, you know, jams out to Zelda's lullaby and such. Ruto, who basically proposes to you out of nowhere. That was kind of weird to me as a kid. Still is, not as much, but you know. They're all kind of goofy though, but also weirdly emotional. When you realize they become sages and can't return with you, there's a sadness there, a real one. It's not super deep, but it does hit. Twilight Princess has more complex characters, especially Midna, and honestly, Midna is one of the best companions in Zelda history. As annoying as Navi can be, Navi, I don't care. I still prefer the fairy. I don't know what it is. Something about a fairy being with Link, it's just fitting. But Midna's arc is strong, and I did actually care about her by the end. But beyond her, the rest of the cast didn't leave much of a mark on me. I had a hard time remembering half their names after I finished the game. So yeah, Twilight Princess might have more realistic writing, but Ocarina made me feel more, and sometimes that's really all that matters. Okay, now for music. I know I already talked about it a little bit, just to get into it a little more though. Ocarina of Time has one of the best soundtracks in game, period. Like The Lost Woods, Gerudo Valley, The Song of Storms. I mean, I'll catch myself like humming these. Even now, if someone plays Zelda's Lullaby, for example, on a piano, like, because, you know, you see that kind of stuff online, you know, people post like a Zelda cover and stuff, like, a lot of those covers and stuff are from Ocarina of Time. That's not me saying, you know, soundtracks on the other games aren't as great. I just think that Ocarina of Time is what people learn more from, if that makes sense. I keep saying that a lot. I can't help myself. And it's not just that the music is good, you actually use it in the game. Like, the Ocarina becomes a tool. It's a part of the main story. You're literally playing music to solve puzzles, open doors, and travel through time, and I think that's genius. Twilight Princess has some cool themes, and the overall sound design fits the darker tone, but it's way more ambient. There's fewer sing-along melodies. The atmosphere is strong, but it doesn't have that same iconic energy. I still remember the first time I played the Song of Time and the blocks started moving. It was awesome. No other Zelda game has captured that musical feeling like the same way. So yeah, both games are great, and I'm not here to say Twilight Princess is bad. It's a solid game, and honestly, it does a lot of things really well. It's probably my second favorite Zelda game still, and I would say you could still make the argument that that's Link's best design too. I don't know. I still think Link's Ocarina design is more iconic, but you could make the argument that he looks cooler in Twilight. Just he looks a little more edgy. I don't know. But for me personally, Ocarina of Time is still the better game. It's not just because it was first or nostalgic though. And I'll admit nostalgia is a part of it, but it's because even today it just still holds up really well. The pacing, the music, the characters, the world, everything comes together in a way that just works. Ocarina made me fall in love with video games, and every time I go back to it, I remember why. Thanks for watching though, guys. If you enjoyed this, feel free to drop a like, maybe even subscribe if you're into this kind of content. I think I'm getting a little better at it. I know I need to do better at editing, but I think I'm doing good. Typing my stuff out, making the videos longer. I actually hit a 10-minute mark this time. But anyway, let me know in the comments, do you prefer Ocarina or Twilight Princess? Or maybe another Zelda game entirely? Wind Waker fans, I'm looking at you. I'd love to hear what you think though. See you guys in the next one.